All right, it's time for us to talk with Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Hank South at Hank South 247. Good morning, Hank. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. We just replayed an interview with Brett McMurphy regarding the football season, and he's talking about things like the AD's talking about starting in October or November, talking about moving to spring, like January through May, and no students coming back and blah 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 blah. Oh, are you guys like privy to like adjusting? I mean, what are you guys doing? Because you guys can't really know what your calendar is going to be probably until the football knows what their calendar is.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like things are changing every single day. There's like this new wild projection, or one day is, oh no, it'll start on time. The next day it's like, oh well, maybe we'll just play conference games, or maybe we'll even look at playing in the spring. It's just like every single day is something different. But yeah, I mean, obviously, this would all affect our schedule in terms of covering recruiting and covering the team. But I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, let's just get through April and just see where we're at. Okay, first, let's
say that again. Say that one more time, Hank. I said, why are we making decisions? What we don't even. I hear people over and over. Well, we don't really know what's going to happen post April in terms of the virus, but let's go ahead and cancel everything through.
Right.
I'm like, just wait. That's why. Right. I mean, make decisions and then set evaluation points, sort of like recruiting, right? I mean, right. I mean, like a guy has until December to make a decision, but he can set a day earlier, and then if it doesn't happen, he still has plenty of time to recoup and recover because he didn't wait till the last minute, but he didn't cancel recruiting because he had an early date. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. To me, is we are jumping way ahead on stuff, and when we don't have answers yet. Right.
Yeah, and and there's not. I mean, like, I guess it's fine to have that discussion, to be prepared if you do need to make plans to move things down the line or cancel or reschedule. But yeah, I mean, it's like 3 weeks ago. We were they just canceled the tournament. Like, so many things have happened in 3 weeks that I feel like just take a step back, just let April happen, see where we're at. I know Brian Kelly, the Notre Dame head coach, was talking about a week ago, and they're asking him, what's the latest the teams could start, they could get back together, start working out, have a fall camp, and be okay to start the season on time. And he said his thoughts were July 1st. They would need at least 1 month of strength and conditioning before fall camp, and then obviously season starting on time. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, my train of thought is just get through April, see where we're at, and then go from there.
Yeah. And have you had much conversation about the impact on a high school athletes? Because ultimately, that's what will impact you guys and your recruiting more than the college season not happening.
Yeah, I've talked to a few high school coaches, and I mean, there's obviously concern. I was talking to one coach in Florida a few days ago, and he was saying he was just worried, because a lot of people say oh well, no spring practice. Well, there's not going to be any injuries in the spring. There's a silver lining, and it's like if these guys aren't in conditioning, if they're not in shape, it's not going to. Injuries are going to be a major issue for everyone. That's going to be a huge issue across the board if guys aren't, able to do the proper strength and conditioning and all that. And so I was talking to a couple high school coaches, and that was brought up, kind of just, concerned about guys actually staying at, in the right, shape to be ready for football. But yeah, it's just such an unprecedented situation. Nobody really knows how to fully react to it at this point because it's changing so much every day.
Absolutely. We're going to get to some basketball and a couple of Alabama guys. Couple of targets still making some news as far as making lists. But before we do that, Pat has a question for you. Pat, you're in with the Martin.
Good morning, fellas. You got me?
Yeah, but hold on. We're going to have to get Hank back.
Okay.
Pat,
I thought something happened.
Yeah. Go ahead with your question, and I can get it.
Okay.
I can have
it.
Right,
my question is for him is America's Mims is Coach Saban appears to be making a fantastic headway toward with the Texas duo and putting in Americus Sims, I think is the guy's name, out of Georgia. He's a 5-star offensive tackle and could play probably guard too. And
you talking about Amarius Mims?
Sir?
You said Amarius Mims?
Yes, sir. The boy he's out of Georgia.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to know about Americus Mims, because he seems to have Alabama in the top of his group.
All right, just a second. Let me bring Hank. You're back in. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Pat's question was how things coming, of course, with the twins out of Texas, and Saban seemed to be making some headway there. And then you have a VIP article up about Amarius Mims, and you did a great job of teasing. It says, but in an uncommon move in recruiting nowadays, he did something different with the way he handled his. Give us an update on those three offensive linemen.
Yeah, I still think things are looking good for Bama with the Brockermeyer brothers. Obviously, I talked to them over the weekend. They actually, in the last week, they had a video chat with David Blue, the new strength director of performance for Alabama. And they were really impressed. I talked to them and their dad, and they said it was just awesome, his presentation and kind of what he showed them. I believe they're supposed to talk to Nick Saban today on FaceTime, or I think, or on the phone. I'm not sure. They're supposed to have a conversation with Nick Saban today. So I still think things are positive there. As far as kind of their timeline, they're up in the air. They still want to take official visits, but obviously, there's now the dead period through the end of May, so that couldn't really happen until at least June. So we'll keep an eye on them. But I think Bama's still in solid shape there. But got to keep an eye on Texas. I think still, with their ties there, and but yeah, for right now, I think Bama's in good shape. And then Amarius Mims, yeah, he put out his top 10 yesterday, but instead of just putting like the classic no order, he actually put named a leader. He has Alabama number 1 on his list, which a lot of people were surprised. He kind of goes back and forth. In January he was saying Bama, Georgia, and LSU were all tied for the top spot. In December it was all. Prior to that, everyone thought Georgia was the team to beat. With he's from Georgia. He had a close relationship with Sam Pittman, but once Sam Pittman left, that kind of opened the door for other programs like Bama. And so, it kind of goes back and forth. Regardless of his leader right now, whoever it is at the top of his list, Bama, LSU, Georgia, he's not making a decision until October 14th. So there's a long way to go. I think his favorites will go back and forth. But Bama's right there for him. They've recruited him really hard. He's been on campus a handful of times. He's really close with Kyle Flood. He actually grew up an Alabama fan, from what I'm told. So, there's connections there, and so they're definitely a contender for him. But, many people still think Georgia's probably the team to beat for Amarius Mims at this point.
All right. Appreciate that, Pat.
Thank you, fellas. Y'all doing a great job. Hey, Hank, just like a true politician. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Right. That's Pat. That's Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Another quick note on the football side: defensive lineman target Shambry Jackson. He broke. He put out a list. It was top 13. But where does Alabama currently sit as far as with the defensive line target?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of top schools lists in the last couple of weeks. But,
yeah.
Shambry Jackson, he put out the top 13. I think Bama's significantly higher for him. He's even kind of said that they're very high on this list. I would imagine they're at least in his top 5 when it's really comes down to it. He was on campus for Junior Day on March 7th. Bama's recruited him pretty hard. 4-star defensive lineman out of Orlando. So he doesn't really have any sort of timeline for a decision. He's one of these guys that I could see just deciding to go ahead and commit during all this, just because it's so it's so uncertain of what's going to happen. He's already been on campus. He's close with the staff, and they've been recruiting him hard. So, I think Bama's pretty high for him. I think they're the top 5, if not higher.
Okay, let's transition over to basketball. Nate Oates got the big commit. Joshua Primo making him the second commitment in the class. What's your thoughts on Bama landing this 5-star, and does it help him gain some momentum?
Yeah, no, it's a huge pickup. Our guys at 24/7 Sports have written about it. Evan Daniels has written a story about it, kind of just like the impact he sees on it. Josh Gershon, another national analyst, has written a story about it. But he's kind of just the perfect fit for Nate Oates' system. He's versatile. He's a ball handler. He can facilitate things. He can shoot. He can score. He's he has a big pickup that's an immediate impact for him. And it's really kind of seemed like Bama's picked up on the recruiting trail in the last couple of weeks, getting Primo on board. They're in the mix for several other guys. Jordan Bruner, the Yale grad transfer big, is narrowed his list down to 3 with Bama in the mix. We actually caught up with him over the weekend. The updates posted it at BamaOnline.com. Keon Ellis, he's a shooting guard from Florida, a JUCO guard from Florida that's had a really good season. He's kind of blown up late. Bama was, I believe, the first program to offer him, or first Power 5 program, I believe, to offer him. So he's in the mix. Another junior college guy, another junior college guard that Bama's really in play for, Saquon Singleton, who actually came out last night and said, he was going to announce a decision this coming Monday. He's considering Bama, K-State, TCU, and some others. So he's a guy in the mix. And then they put out a new offer, I think it was mid last week. Darius Miles, a 4-star power forward from IMG Academy in Florida, has got an offer. So, we talked about kind of the space, but Bama's recruiting they're recruiting like, Kyra Lewis, John Petty, and Herb Jones are all going to be gone because with testing the draft waters in terms of, just having space for these available guys. So we'll keep an eye on it. But, Nate Oates talked about the roster looking completely different in 2020, and kind of it's on track to look completely different in 2020. Yeah,
absolutely. And you mentioned Saquon Singleton, teammate of top forward James Rojas. Is Alabama? He says Alabama for sure. Then TCU, Kansas State, and Pacific. Do you think Alabama gets another big announcement? And if so, I guess it kind of like we look with Saban, is what's his name going to be working magic with his roster should some of the guys that are in the draft come back?
Yeah, that's a good question. Whether that's going to happen, because I'm not sure when signing day actually is now. I think they moved it off 30 days, so everything's kind of just like, we'll see. No, but I think Singleton prefers Bama. He's kind of in a really crazy situation himself in that, like, he's having to pick a school he's never visited. Like, all these schools he's considering, I'm not sure he's been to all of them.
Right.
Because he hasn't been able to take official visits. So I think James Rojas plays a big role in that because it's somebody he's familiar with. He knows, he played with at the junior college level for a year, and he's been able to kind of lean on to learn more about Bama outside of, what the staff is telling about it. So, I think Singleton prefers Bama, but like you said, what's this roster space going to look like in terms of, if these guys testing the waters, deciding to come back? So, there's questions to be answered, but, I do think he prefers Bama, in my opinion, from my talks with him.
One last question. Is there a big man anywhere in the picture?
I think Bruner is kind of the one guy to watch in terms of, big guys that are like really in play for. Obviously, Darius Miles is another big. They're power forwards, but Bruner's, I think, 6'10". So that they're kind of in the mix. But a lot of the push seemed to be for these guards. There's another guy I know they've kind of been talked about in the mix for another transfer, and there's actually several transfers I'm probably not mentioning enough of that they're talking to because the transfer circuit kind of changes every day.
Yeah.
But Josh Morgan, he's a transfer from Long Beach State. the 6'10" center. He's kind of been talked about, and so that's a name maybe could pop up again. But yeah, those guys we talked about, I think, kind of the main ones in the mix.
All right, that's Hank South 247 Sports. Hank, tell our listeners where they can find what you got going on.
Yeah, BamaOnline.com. Still got plenty of recruiting content, team content still coming out, despite kind of the halt to everything. I mean, we're actually doing a really good promo that ends tonight. If you sign up today, it's 75% off your first year. So it's like $2.30 a month for the next 12 months. It's a good time to hop on board because there is still plenty to talk about, it seems.
All right, that is a good news. Anytime you need to do it today, but you get the next year, and that's 75% off of Bama Online Recruiting. 247 Sports Guru, Hank South. Hank, we'll catch up with you next week. Thanks, man.
That's great. Thanks, Martin.